National Night Out enhances the relationship between law enforcement and residents while bringing back a true sense of community. I talk one-on-one with Mount Pleasant Police Department's Don Calabrese about the Mount Pleasant's National Night Out event next week for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Don Calabrese, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. I know that you're the Public Information Officer for the Mount Pleasant Police Department. And coming up soon, actually, is National Night Out, which enhances the relationship between neighbors and obviously law enforcement officials while bringing back a true sense of community. Furthermore, it provides a great opportunity to bring police and neighbors that is together under positive circumstances. Needless to say, last August you couldn't. Well, this past August you couldn't have it because of some rain delays. But now you're going to have it on October 4th. Let me ask you, what are those positive circumstances right now heading into National Night Out?
Well, we're really excited to be able to have our event, and it's the first time in the 14 years that I've been here that we've done it in a cooler month. So it'll be on Tuesday, October 5th at Mount Pleasant Memorial Waterfront Park, and we're excited for the cooler weather. There's a little bit of a time change. It's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. this go around. It's getting darker a little earlier, and kids are back at school and stuff like that. But we're hoping it's going to be a great turnout. We're excited because we're putting everything that we have out there. We have all our officers out there, our school officers, our harbor patrol, bike patrol, SWAT team, harbor, boat, everything we have. We're going to be out there, and we're going to set the tone for that positive interaction. So you'll be able to see officers in a little bit different of a light. Normally, an officer you see either going to a call or making a traffic stop or handling some sort of situation. Well, this allows us to take that out of it, and we're just here, available, ready to talk, ready to get to know everybody.
What is the tone right now?
I think we have a great tone. You know, that we have been a community-oriented police department since the early '90s when we got accredited by CALEA, and that's our focus. So we set that tone, and we go out there and we're available to the community. We hear the needs through different programs that we do through National Night Out. We have a Citizens Police Academy. We have great community partners for different events throughout the year, and that's what we're continuing to build on and be there so we can get the input from the citizens and the community and adjust anything that we need to.
I'm going to get back to that actually in just a second. But in the last interview, you told me back in late July, you said, hey, the police department has, and obviously your relationship with the residents have evolved over the years. How has the relationship between the police and residents evolved?
I think it just continues to get stronger. We're always looking at different ways to embrace technology or different programs. So newer partnerships with the area of opioid awareness and overdose situations. We just partnered with Wake Up Carolina and the Charleston Center for Opioid Awareness Day, which was at the end of August. And that's a new partnership that traditionally you don't see law enforcement partnering up with the treatment and prevention of a disease or a problem. But it's a different approach that has evolved from us understanding that we need those good relationships. So that partnership created our event. We did it out at Town Hall, and we had all sorts of people come out and get to know us and get to work with the different organizations. So whether it's partnerships like that or October's coming up, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We had a local sponsor provide purple t-shirts. Purple's the color for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Chief Arnold has approved those shirts to be worn by officers under their uniforms for duty. And we're having an awareness event for October, domestic violence awareness. It'll be October 15th, and we'll put more out on that. But these are partnerships that we didn't have a couple years ago. So they have evolved and turned into that, and then trying to embrace technology and do different things virtually where we can, and different trainings that officers are taking. So constantly looking at that, and whatever we're needed to do, then we'll figure it out and do it and make it the best that it can be.
How do you mix the awareness of opioid addiction and obviously domestic violence with technology?
It's just a matter of COVID really helped us kind of evolve. We had done our first event with Wake Up Carolina at the Waterfront Park, and it was very successful. But then last year we had to shut it down, and we wound up putting our heads together, and we did a remembrance video for all the victims who were lost that year. And that was super impactful to the family, because everybody's at a different stage in their recovery and their struggle. So some people aren't ready to come out to an in-person event, but those videos and those remembrance things that we made were on our YouTube channel and Facebook. And like I said, it was something that the family could have there. And even for the people who came out to the event, they could see it, but they didn't have to record it with their cell phones or anything like that. They knew that it was going to be out there public and they can kind of watch it on those terms. So whether it's that or officers doing virtual training, you never want the officers to stop training and progressing and getting better. Well, a lot of training's been offered online. I've sat through more 8-hour Zoom trainings in the last year than I had in my first 12 years here. So trying to embrace that and make the best of it so we can keep pushing forward and getting better.
What is that trend and advancement when it comes to obviously opioid abuse? That is,
we with our partnership, we offer a free Narcan training once a month, and that's at Town Hall. And when COVID shut down our in-person events, we were able to do that virtually, and it's just putting more Narcan in the hands of people who need it.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of people, let me ask you this: how do you get to know the community in a positive setting?
Well, that's the goal is to get to know your area. So it goes back to it starts with the patrol officer on the street. That's who you're going to see more often than not. Your first interaction, either it's on a call or them riding around. So we're looking at that community oriented policing philosophy, and our officers are assigned a district or a patrol area for 9 months at a time. And in that 9 months, they're expected to get to know the community. So if there's maybe more businesses in their district or residences, it's on them to get to know the people, go to the HOA meetings or business meetings or whatever the needs are in that area. And that gets reported up through the chain of command, and we compile a monthly report, and we all talk. We have a meeting once a month with all the supervisors and districts, talk about what's going on in their areas, and we share all that information. We have ideas, and we work together to combat whatever the problem is. So whether it's a parking issue or an issue with car break-ins or whatever the concern is, we come together and do that. But I think it starts from those officers that you're seeing day to day that are patrolling your neighborhoods, and that accountability that we put on them for their areas.
What are the numbers right now when you look at the statistics? What's happening? Are we seeing more car break-ins?
I don't have any specific numbers in front of me, but unfortunately, that's a battle we've always been fighting. Mount Pleasant's a very safe area and a good place to be, but sometimes people leave their cars unlocked, and that's something that we've always tried to combat with awareness campaigns. We have signs, we have little cards that we leave on people's doors. We've partnered with Wando High School, and they've made PSAs for us. We put out our own PSAs, so we're always looking at different ways to get that message out the best we can. But unfortunately, it's something that we're combating. And most of the time, it's from unlocked car doors. So if people would take their firearms in at night and lock their car doors, that would save them a lot of trouble and help us out too. We don't want those guns getting in the wrong hands.
No, not at all. And as a matter of fact, in probably less than 3 weeks, we're going to change time back again. So how worried are you about more car break-ins, God forbid?
We're not too worried about anything with the time changes. That's not something that I've noticed over the years. Typically, the prime time for car break-ins that we're seeing is those early morning hours, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So kind of just before people are getting up, getting to work. Unfortunately, that's when the criminals are out there getting to work themselves too. So just about every car break-in we have here in town is from an unlocked or unsecured car door. So again, if people could lock those car doors, we very rarely see forced entry car break-ins.
And is this a residential problem or is this a commercial problem?
We see them all over town. Probably more residential if you get neighborhoods that are maybe a little bit smaller, or maybe an apartment complex. We don't really have I can't put any specifics on it. It's just something that we're trying to face. But like I said, most of them are from unlocked car doors. Very rarely are we seeing smashed windows or pop locks or anything like that. So lock it or lose it is what we're trying to push out to the community.
And speaking of the community, many, many years ago in the 90s, we had the neighborhood watch in many communities here in the Low Country. Now you have National Night Out. What is the biggest difference between those two?
We did, and it's really all kind of the same thing. The neighborhood watch really pushed the idea of getting to know your neighbors and working together to keep an eye on the neighborhood, because the people that live in a community or an area, they know it better than anybody else. They know whose car belongs, who doesn't, what looks out of place, what's normal, what's not for that area. Everybody's got their own kind of little culture, and that kind of transition into, well, this big event. Well, let's get all these neighborhoods together and let's come together and have a good crime prevention message, a unified message. And we still see neighborhood watch, but now with the technology evolving, it's kind of been taken over by the Nextdoor app and social media. And as long as people are communicating and talking to each other, that's what we want. We want people to know who their neighbors are and be able to look out for each other. That way, if there is some sort of activity that maybe looks a little suspicious or out of place, then people call and not just kind of blow it off. So I think where we're at now, that Nextdoor is kind of taken over just because of the technology for it.
And speaking of technology, I know a couple of years ago, right on the east side of downtown Charleston, where I live, a lot of, obviously, the city police officers came in and installed a lot of security cameras for residents who really needed it. Is that something that Mount Pleasant is doing for its residents?
We have a lot of different ways to look at crime prevention. We don't have neighborhood cameras or anything like that, but the Ring app has certainly helped us a lot. There's something called Neighbors, so you don't have to have a Ring camera system, but you can hook into this Neighbors app where it allows us to put out information on maybe a car break-in or a crime in an area, and if somebody wants to share that video. So that's been super helpful and solve some car break-ins and other crimes. So yeah, we're embracing that technology and that app, and it's been helpful.
And you just answered my question, but what other tools are you using to combat, basically crime in the town of Mount Pleasant?
Our biggest way to do that is face-to-face interactions with our community and getting that message out. So one of our patrol teams that is working in the area of the Old Village, they came up with just a simple little flyer, almost like an index card. And if they saw something that was a concern, that maybe somebody could have been the victim of a crime, whether they left their windows rolled down or they left maybe a laptop on the car seat or anything that they could see in plain view on a public street or something like that, they would take the time to knock on the door, introduce themselves to the person, say, "I'm the officer, I patrol your area," and then they would leave them this little card, whether they put it on the refrigerator or on the table, or even if they set it aside. But I think having that face-to-face interaction would help them remember that they did something that maybe they could have prevented a crime from.
And I know in the last interview, you talked about the mission statement for the Mount Pleasant Police Department. And I know that it is obviously you all enhance the wellness of the community by working in partnership. Who else are you working with to enhance that wellness?
We're working with everybody. I mean, there's nobody that's involved in this. I kind of look at the town in our just kind of physical boundaries of it's like a puzzle, and everybody's got a little piece of the puzzle. I mean, it's a big town. We have almost 100,000 people, but 526 is a major thoroughfare. 17, we have businesses. Even just off Long Point Road, there's a lot of industrial stuff. So what we do is we have supervisors that are kind of responsible for certain areas of town, and it's broken up into residents, businesses, and wherever falls in that, that's what we're doing to work together to enhance that wellness. So that goes back to, like I said, we have a meeting once a month, and all these first line supervisors and command staff are talking, brainstorming ideas. So if it's something going on in a community on one end of town, it's very likely to go on the other. So really, it's anybody and everybody that's kind of a stakeholder in our community. That's who we want to talk to and get to know and work with.
And what have you evaluated as far as your police department's obviously performance?
We do different programs. We do a Citizens Police Academy where citizens come in and we get feedback. We meet people through events like Coffee with a Cop or National Night Out. We do have a citizen survey that we send out electronically when an officer handles a call for service. We gather email information, and that a citizen survey comes out, and that's compiled at the end of the year. And we have social media that people will send us direct messages. We have links on the website to compliment an officer, or if you have a concern of how an officer handled something. So we have a lot of ways out there to get that feedback. And then again, you just really can't beat the face-to-face communication. So doing things like this, talking to people. Hopefully, if we have a Coffee with a Cop one day, you can come out and hang out with us for a little bit and just see how those interactions just lead to conversations, and that helps push us in the right direction.
And speaking of direction, let's go back to National Night Out. It's going to be next week. What's going to happen? What's new? What's now this year?
It's going to be great. Like I said, we're excited about the weather. Last year was the first time we had it at Waterfront Park, and we incorporated live music into the event. So Bach to Rock is a local music school in here. It goes back to the partnerships. So they have students that they like to showcase. So it's a performance opportunity for these kids, and we get to hear some good live music. So they'll be there. All of our officers will be there. We have our new harbor patrol boat, SWAT vehicles, Swiftwater Rescue. We're going to have a canine demonstration. We're working on some food vendors and things like that. We'll have some snacks that we're going to pass out. We have cool giveaways this year. I made some Mount Pleasant Police Department guitar picks. So we had guitar players out there who want to come by and get a pick. We have bags, toys, giveaways for the kids. And it's just a great time to come out and either meet people in your community, meet the officers that are patrolling your streets. And like I said, it's kind of a distraction-free thing. You know, you never know when you talk to an officer what they're doing, if they're going to a call. Maybe you wanted to ask a question, but the officer's mind was focused on something else. Maybe they're walking into a call for service at a store or something like that. But like I said, this kind of takes all those barriers out. We're here, we're available, and we're encouraging people to come out and have some conversations with us.
That's just so amazing. Well, Don Calabrese with the Mount Pleasant Police Department, thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me. And I did check with the town hall track. It's going to be done the first week of January. So maybe we get out there and get that cool weather jog in.
Oh, yes, I actually have to begin my training for the bridge run, which happens in 6 months.
I know, we're getting close. Did you do the one this weekend?
No, it didn't, unfortunately, but I was at home watching.
Yeah, well, it looked like it went great. So
yes.
Hopefully we'll see you out there in April.
Oh, yes, and you guys did a great job with opening and closing those roads Saturday.
Thank you. Well, that goes back to the partnership. You know, the police officers weren't out there cleaning up the streets. Public services did, and all the personnel from the bridge run and everyone they hired. So that's a good example of us working together, not just with Mount Pleasant, but with Charleston, North Charleston, Charleston County. All those agencies came together, and thank you for letting us know. But it was a great event, and we're looking forward to the next one on April 2nd.
Yeah, in just less than 6 months. Thank you.
We're ready.
Oh,
yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Take care.